So here we are, Gold Derby, myself and Amanda to break down the episode 6 of Westworld season 1, The Adversary. Talk about this show's award chances. We're now past the halfway point, Amanda, and I just like to just get your quick read on Westworld in terms of how do you feel this show's going in terms of like its buzz for Screen Actors Guild and Golden Globes awards? Does it still have the heat it had 6 episodes ago when it started, or is it starting to die off?
I think it still has the heat. I think the one person who's probably in the most trouble, especially with their Globe placement, is Evan Rachel Wood, because I think she right now is being overshadowed by Thandie Newton. Now, I'm of the mindset that they put her in lead because that catch-all supporting race is a tricky situation. So we'll see at the Emmys going forward where everybody falls out. But I do think, and that's one of the things I keep kind of thinking about, is do I bump Evan Rachel Wood for Thandie Newton? Because she is just so good, and she's had like 4 episodes, and I know we're talking about episode 6, but even episode 5, she only was in it like 2 seconds where she actually talked. Yeah. And she's still the thing everyone's talking about. I mean, the way her spine straightened when her intelligence was brought up to 20.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, she's just going for it.
This was Evan Rachel Wood's first episode that she was not in. We know Dolores this episode, which is sort of annoying in the sense of I feel like they left her character in a pretty interesting spot at the end of last episode on the train heading somewhere with one of their villain. Like, you know, there was a map on the coffin. Like, I think it was a pretty interesting spot. It sort of reminded me, gave me shades of like Walking Dead or Lost when they would set something up and then do a whole episode somewhere else before going back to that storyline. So I found that pretty frustrating. You were telling me before the chat, Amanda, and you sort of alluded to it there, that you think Evan Rachel Wood, maybe Thandie Newton's the real lead of the show and not Evan Rachel Wood. Do you want to like expand on those thoughts?
We just get so much more from Thandie Newton's character, and I can understand maybe the story just needed to catch up to where Evan Rachel Wood was. Maybe that's why she wasn't in this episode. But it just seems like when we talk about performance and episodes, Thandie Newton's just had so much more to do. And her character grabs attention in a way that I don't know if Evan Rachel Wood's character is.
Yeah, this shows that. Well, I think there's 2 questions though, Amanda. One is grabbing attention, and one is driving the story. And I think they both could be true of Thandie Newton. But I like, you can have a really dynamic supporting performance that overshadows a lead performance. That doesn't make it a lead performance. Like, as you said last week, I think Thandie Newton in some ways overshadowed a lot of the other actors, but she was only in a couple of seconds. She wasn't driving that episode. She wasn't the lead of that episode. I think this episode, she was a lot more the driving force and the lead of. I feel like episode, was it 2? I think it was 2 or 3 she was as well. And she's had some strong sort of supporting episodes. I think on the flip side, we look at last week, I think Evan Rachel Wood was driving the story a lot more, and it was a lot more about sort of her character's journey, as was the pilot. So I feel like both of those actresses have had 2 sort of, at least, 2. I'm trying to think if Evan Rachel Wood's had another one as Dolores. I don't think so. So I think both of those actors have had sort of 2 sort of driving episodes, and then they've been more supporting for the rest of the season.
I'm just thinking about it going forward for like the Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah.
Because I don't think both of them will make it in. I just think there's too much competition for both of them to get into that spot, get in. But I don't know. We'll see. I do think Thandie Newton or Evan Rachel Wood will be in supporting at the Emmys.
Yes, and it'll be interesting. And I really think it'll depend on these last sort of. It'll depend who gets nominated at the Globes, I think, too, as to how they campaign for for the Emmys, like, you know, if Danny Newton gets in over Evan Rachel Wood in lead, it would be bizarre for them then to move her down to support and campaign for Evan Rachel Wood in lead. It will also depend how these last the 7, 8, 9, these last 4 episodes play out as well. Like, if there's a real strong direction we see this series take, like, does, you know, what's happening with Dolores on the train really take center stage for the last sort of like arc of this season, or does what Danny Newton's doing sort of take, or do they both just become the 2 sort of dominant storylines moving forward, or 2 of the 3 dominant storylines moving forward, and it becomes ambiguous as to which one's lead, or sort of
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend, and I still think that it'll be interesting to see going forward. I agree with you. If Thandie Newton gets into the lead, if she could somehow pull that off, which I don't see a scenario right now where that happens, but yeah, it'll be interesting going forward to see where they land.
Yeah, and I think it's worth like remembering some of the stuff. Like it's worth remembering. I think not worth remembering. If both of them get nominated at the Globes, I think, or neither of them get nominated at the Globes, it gives the Emmy campaign some, like, they can sort of pretty much do whatever they want there. Like, I think they'll just, because I think it would make sense to campaign for them in separate categories, since there's no other real supporting actress contender from this show. I know.
It makes sense, at least at the Globes, because that catch-all supporting is so hard to get into. So I understand why they would want to go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to make them both leads. But at the Emmys, they should be split. So they don't, because we just saw way too much vote canceling to not say, and I understand not wanting to hurt one of their feelings, but for not one of them to go, okay, you know what, drop to supporting. I would almost prefer to be in supporting, because there's 4 open slots.
Yeah, no, like I think actually supporting's the better spot, like, to be in if you want to win that Emmy, because I think there's 4 open slots, and there's no of the 2 people who are going to return. I wouldn't say that, assuming they do, I wouldn't say that they've got the Emmy on lockdown or anything like that. Like, you know, it's not like, you know, there's a Julia Louis-Dreyfus who's won the last 5 years. You're like, well, boy, if you're in that category, that might get nominated, but it's tough to beat X. Like, it'll be a pretty open race for the nominations and a pretty open race for the win, I imagine. And Evan Rachel Wood and Thandie Newton both have very strong material. They both have at least, Thandie Newton, I'd argue, it has 2, and Evan Rachel Wood, I'd argue, has 1 really strong Emmy-worthy episode, so they'd both be competitive in that supporting race.
Oh yeah, I think either of them would be competitive, and we don't know yet if Maura Tierney or Constance Zimmer will come back, because either one of them would seem like one of those people who could just be a one-time nominee and then they're done. I hope not, but they kind of fit that archetype too. So yeah.
Yeah, I said there wasn't really any other, like, supporting actress contenders from that show. It's probably a bit unfair to, is it Sadie Hudson, who plays Teresa?
Oh, yes, like, the woman who's figured everything out.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Which one are we thinking? Like, there's probably another couple of female actresses in that show that are delivering stronger performances, just without the name recognition of Thandie Newton or Evan Rachel Wood, and they really haven't had the episode that those 2 have. That I'd say that probably wouldn't get nominated, but yeah, you never know. Like, let's go through some of the storylines, Amanda, for this episode over the next about 10 or so minutes. Let's start with the Thandie Newton stuff. We've been talking about that a bit. This is pretty interesting for the show. Just give me your initial thoughts on it and where that storyline's going.
Clearly, she's going to start hurting people. And it's interesting to see how everyone knows now that these robots are being messed with, and someone with these very old methods of getting into them is doing so. And it's interesting to see, just watching her see this footage of what she thought was a dream of hers, was an actual last build, and he's trying to explain this to her. And even though she's a robot, she can still work that other guy pretty well.
Yeah, now let's like, can she hurt someone? Like I was waiting for the bit in that scene where she had the guy with the scalpel, just her to cut his face a little bit to show that like she actually can hurt someone. But it still was all talk from Danny Newton. We didn't actually see her break his skin. So that's sort of like, I guess, something they still want to leave ambiguous.
Yeah, I think if she's asking for them to change her in certain ways, I'm sure that they'll make it able so she's able to hurt someone.
Yeah.
That might be something she would ask for.
Yeah. So she's asking the guy in the lab, the tech guy, a lot of questions. She gets him to give her a tour of the upper the rooms in Westworld where they're working on the hosing down the bloody bodies, and the sort of lobby for people. To me, this scene struck me as a bit odd, that they're just walking around and no one's really, like, it seems like everyone is just ignoring them. No one's like you couldn't have like a workplace where people are, and this isn't the first thing where this has quite happened, where people couldn't be less interested in what's happening around them. Like, I've never been in a working, like, if I'm working and like someone's just walking past with like a tray of cakes or something, or carrying a box, everyone turns their head. Oh, I wonder what's getting delivered. I wonder what's in that box for that guy. Oh, some cakes. I wonder whose birthday it is. I wonder what we're doing. In this workplace, he's walking around with one of the robots. No one seems interested at all. Like, what's the story with this, Amanda?
I don't know. I was curious about that myself. I wonder if there's a way like they lead them back to like their beds or something, or how that's typically done, because we've never kind of seen it, the nuts and bolts of how it would normally run perfectly. But yeah, it does seem a little weird that she was just able to walk around that place so long. And my only other thought is maybe they can't see through that glass.
Oh, it's like one-way glass.
Yeah, that would be my only other thought, because yeah, every place I've ever worked, if someone walks by or something happens, everyone's looking around and being alert.
Yeah, someone like walks by with like a sort of like a colored shirt of some description. Like, people are like, oh, like Gary's wearing a colored shirt today. This is interesting. Like, so I think like the guy was walking, and that would be weird if it was one-sided glass though, because you would imagine you'd want the one-sided glass the other way, where people can't see into the corpses getting hosed down, but you can see out to who's coming into the room and who's walking by. Anyway, the I think he was walking around with his iPad, and I wonder if like he was sort of like, if someone had questioned him, he would have been like, oh, we're just testing her walk. Like, you know, we're just making sure she can walk properly, and like there was a little malfunction or something. But I think if that was the case, they should have had that scene sort of play out. I feel like that was the problem. They should have had someone bumping him going, oh, what are you doing with Maeve? And he's like, just her legs been sort of playing up a bit, so I'm just walking around, just making sure she knows what's what.
Yeah, that might have made it a little bit more interesting, as at least we would have had those questions answered. But
yeah. Anyway, so she's asked for her personality to be changed. Seems like she's got some control now, not over herself, but got control over the some of the tech guys. And it's going to be really interesting to see what her plan is, because I still think the thing that was unclear about Maeve was, where is she going to go with this?
Yeah,
like she doesn't know about the maze. It's not like Dolores, where it's like, oh, if I find the end of this maze, I'll be free, and now I've got a mission. And we also know a little bit what Dolores is doing with Maeve. We don't really know what she's wanting to do.
It'll be interesting to see what her plans are, because she's still kind of back at the saloon, but I'm sure it will reveal itself in the next few episodes.
Yeah.
She's also the one character who's had the least to do with the other main character. She's not with James Marsden. She's not with Evan Rachel Wood. She's not been with Jeffrey Wright. So it'll be interesting to see if those worlds kind of collide a little bit and she does get some time with someone else other than I'm not saying they're not important, but some of the more top billed actors.
Yeah. She had the scene with the villain where he removed the bullet from her, and that was sort of probably her biggest like interaction with another interesting character that had done other things in other storylines.
Yeah, and I think she had like 2 seconds with Evan Rachel Wood, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, she tried to hit on James Marsden when he came into the bar in the pilot.
Yeah, so nothing really major there.
Yeah. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, the I can set you up or something," and he's like, "Oh, I like what was his line? It was a pretty good line. He's like, I don't like to pay for it or something like that." That wasn't the line. Anyway, whatever it was, he said something pretty clever. It's in the pilot. That was 6 episodes ago. So he likes to earn a woman's affection, not pay for it, or something.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
it.
Yeah, there you go. So it's a bit about the Danny Newton stuff. Dolores is still on the train, I imagine. She's still training it up. Nothing interesting happened on the train carriage this week, so we didn't get to see anything. We've got, speaking of James Marsden, him and the Man in Black got up to some fun stuff this week. So they're on their journey. James Marsden, I think, like, is Teddy his name?
Yeah, it's Teddy.
Yeah. Teddy was talking about how he had heard a legend about a maze. Some guy built a house. There were a lot of walls around the house. Like, he liked the house, so he didn't want other people to get to the house or something like that. So maybe at the middle of the maze, there's going to be a nice house for them all to live in.
I hope we get to the end of the maze by the end of the first season.
I think I don't have high hopes for that, Amanda.
No, something else has got to happen that would prevent them from getting to the maze. But I'm more curious to see who they're going to get to play Arnold at this point.
Yeah, I'd like us to know a little bit more about. I'd like to have more clarity on what the maze is by the end of the season. I don't need to be in the middle by the end of it.
Not a fan of the Maze Runner movies, obviously.
I have not seen the Maze Runner movies, but as a big fan of mazes, I wouldn't mind checking them out. What do you think about so what did you think about the war scene? They're like sort of these sort of like soldiers, Teddy mowing people down with a gun. That was sort of fun.
It was interesting to see what he's fully capable of, because we just got chivalrous. Oh, I have a debt I have to pay. It was interesting to see how much interaction and storyline he's been given. And why he needs to be kept alive. What is so important about that Ed Harris, I mean, obviously Ed Harris has been down this path before and set out on this kind of journey before, because, you know, Anthony Hopkins didn't stop him. He knows about Arnold. He knows about the maze. He knows who he needs. He knows who to give blood to. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works out.
Yeah, I agree. What about let's switch over now to I guess sort of Bernard and Anthony Hopkins this week, or Bernard and Dr. Ford, and we saw Bernard started putting some things together, realizing that there's some robots out in Westworld that are sort of off the grid. He tracked them down to our good friend, the little boy, and a very aggressive guy. And then it turned out that Anthony Hopkins was there. Dr. Ford was there, and he's kept these guys because these are Arnold's last creations. Are we buying, Amanda, everything Anthony Hopkins said?
Well, it's a replication of his family. That he made them for him, and that's why he's keeping them. It's really weird, because when that little boy, and I could have done without seeing a dog killed that dog, and you realize Arnold is the one doing all of this. What is going on?
Yeah.
Ooh, but it's amazing because then you all of a sudden have this like little English country house
Yeah.
situation, and that's why he's dressed that way when he's going out there. And every week, Anthony Hopkins has just been given a little bit more to do. So something is building up for his character.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% convinced, as I was a few weeks ago, that he's going to be dead at the end of the season, but I still think somebody's going to be dead. One of these major characters will be dead.
Yeah, this is the kind of show you expect to be character death in one of the final 2 episodes of the season. So we'll see if that ends up playing out. But yeah, I think this like sort of question of Arnold, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this season, rather than getting to the middle of the maze, we solve the Arnold mystery a bit more fully. And if that's sort of what the sort of season 1 sort of like thing will end on, is sort of Arnold's still alive. Oh, here's Arnold, and us being presented with Arnold or something, or some reveal as to how he died if he is not alive anymore or whatever. So I think the Arnold storyline, I think they're setting the groundwork pretty well for that. I think the maze, they're still setting the groundwork a bit like ambiguous. Like I think this is like just alluding to it a lot. They're on it. It's still unclear to us. We I think have been given a little bit more background on Arnold than the maze at the moment. So I think that's where we're going. I think we're going to find out, yeah, just how things ended, what's happening. Like, did Anthony Hopkins kill Arnold? Is Anthony Hopkins protecting Arnold? Who knows? One more storyline, Amanda, I think, from this episode was we saw the triumphant return of our British writer, who I thought they may have just written out of the series, a bit of like Mandy from The West Wing, never just to be seen from again. But no, we saw him again with a vengeance, Amanda.
I still don't know why he all of a sudden popped back up. I'm sure he's going to play a part somewhere in this, but he was drunk at the pool, and it'll be interesting to see why all of a sudden they brought him back.
Yeah, so it's sort of cool. Like we sort of saw this side of the park, this sort of resort, sort of with pool and bar service and stuff, which sort of makes sense for a theme park. Like you often, like in a Disneyland or whatever, you'll have the resort in there, you'll have or even like the Main Street sort of area where it's a bit more just chilling, cafes, gift shops, stuff like that. And then like you go to the sort of the adventure worlds and stuff. So that's sort of cool. I don't know how you get to that bit. I guess there must be a train to that too. Because it seems I thought you entered Westworld at the sort of the saloon, that sort of area. You'd think this would make more sense of where you enter. Go through the bar on your way to the. Well, anyway, regardless of
employees, it all seemed to be employees just hanging out there. I don't.
Yeah, so maybe that's just the staff chill point. Like, although he thought she was I don't think he thought she was an employee. The girl he was hitting on at the bar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what because I thought that must have been just a staff hangout. Then he started hitting on the girl. Boy, like this guy's a real douchey guy. Like this is. They like him just getting drunk at the bar, hitting on this girl, trying to impress her as the writer of Westworld. Like she's like, oh, so this is all your like twisted imagination, all these stories, and he's like, just the good ones, like
just the ones that don't ever happen. Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh, these people, they think they know what they're doing with their. Like letting them have their own choice. They're just ruining my great scripts. Like, why are they improvising anything, the robots, when I'm writing them this gold? Like, yeah. I really wish we'd seen that big speech that he'd written for the guy, because I can't imagine it was that good. Like maybe in episode 2 or 3. I don't think it was. I think this is.
Oh gosh.
This is like I feel like this guy is like what probably writers for Two Broke Girls like say when they're trying to pick up people at bars. Like nothing. I'm sure the guys for the Two Broke Girls aren't douchey guys. I'm sure they're lovely guys, but I think Um, it's more just the sort of going like, oh, this is so like, just this idea, like he's got in his head that he is the greatest writer in the world.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure everyone writing for any show feels like they are writing gold. Like I think there's very few writers, like whatever show it is, sits there and thinks, oh yeah, this is crap. This is rubbish what we're writing. This is awful. I can't believe people are watching this show. I think everyone who writes a show is probably thinking, or nearly everyone is thinking, oh yeah, this is pretty funny stuff. This is really good. I think this is really great. But the thing is, not every show is critically acclaimed. And that was sort of my Two Broke Girls comment, is like sort of, it's not a particularly critically acclaimed show. I'm sure the writers think they're writing something really funny and really great. And I'm sure that they talk that up, as I would if I was writing a show. Yeah, so anyway, there you go. So I think this guy's great. He then pisses on the Westworld set. And then it is revealed, hey, that girl you were really creepily hitting on at the bar, she's actually from the board.
Yeah. There's these board people just keep popping up. You don't need to be introducing new characters at this point. It's just enough. There's enough going on right now.
Yeah, like that. Hey, that girl that you were one, creepily hitting on at the bar, two, sort of definitely breaking your non-disclosure agreement of the way decisions are made at Westworld, and three, just being a drunken like nuisance. Yeah, she's your boss. It's almost like a sitcom set. I feel like this guy is like in a sitcom. Oh, like we've got this very dark, serious sci-fi show, and we've got this writer that is like a sitcom character that is just like bungling his way through the control room at Westworld.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't seem to know what's going on or care. It's just all about his storylines, and we'll see.
And it's not the best written part of the show. It's not the most consistent part of the show. I'm still enjoying the scenes that he's in. It's not ruining the show for me. I want to see more of this guy. I am laughing every scene he is in. So no awards talk. There's not going to be no Emmy episode for this guy or anything like that. I'm just saying it's keeping my interest level up while watching the show.
Well, he is a part of the ensemble. Do you think Westworld will get nominated for ensemble?
No.
Ooh, even with two open spots?
Yeah, there's two open spots. I just know the Screen Actors Guild go a bit more for like, the old shows rather than like, it's not like they're all about awarding the hot new shows like the Globes, but I think it's a real interesting one. Because, like, you got Anthony Hopkins, you got Jeffrey Wright, you got Evan Rachel Wood, you got Danny Newton. This is a pretty, like, a lot of heavy. Ed Harris. Can't believe I forgot Ed Harris. I'm actually going to change to yes. I think they will get in. I think it's mainly due to probably Anthony Hopkins and Ed Harris.
Name recognition of the cast.
And just, like, not even as name recognition, just, like, they are two very respected actors. Like, these aren't just a whole lot of big names getting thrown at a wall. Like, these are people who there would be a lot of respect for in the industry.
Well, Lee Daniels, the butler, got,
yeah.
I'd say that's on the film side, but still, it got a lot of. It got nominated on the ensemble, and you have to look at the list of actors in there and think, okay, that's probably what helped it out.
I'd say more than name recognition. It's pedigree.
Yeah.
It's the pedigree of the cast. Yeah. I think we've had shows that have had just as much name recognition probably that I wouldn't get nominated, and I'm struggling to think of an example now. Yeah. Like,
funny there off the top of my head.
I think like maybe Vinyl last year is an example. Like, I don't think it's a great one. Like Bobby Cannavale, Ray Romano, like these are Bobby Cannavale doesn't have the name recognition of some of these guys though, of Ed Harris or Anthony. Anyway, I don't think it's just star power. I think it's pedigree and the sort of roles these guys have played in the past and the cred they've built up for themselves in the industry. Anyway, I think that's a good thing to end on, Amanda. The Screen Actors Guild chances. Great. Any last thoughts on this episode of Westworld? Any predictions what we're going to see next week?
I don't know. The trailer was a little elusive for next week, so we'll see. I'm still waiting for Anthony Hopkins' big episode because we haven't had that yet, and I'm sure he has one still.
Yeah, well, you said earlier on that you think it's going to be the season final, is what you said in like our first or second. Okay, I haven't seen the trailer yet for the episode, Amanda. I'll quickly just watch it now and tell you what I think. It's only 40 seconds. So someone thinks Ford's creations are dangerous. Some heads getting smashed. Danny Newton's on the table. Oh, this is interesting. So Danny Newton is sort of now, she was, for half the scenes, like naked when she was in the room, and half the scene she was dressed, which the second tech guy that came in, and he was sort of like, oh, what are you doing, dressing her up? Are you going to be wearing that dress yourself later on? Like, I don't know what that means. Like, and I thought, like, surely the creepier thing is to be watching a naked. I feel like if my friend walked in on me with a dressed up robot, talking to her, there would be a lot of jokes thrown my way. Like, hey, this is pretty lame. I feel like there'd be even more so if it was a nude robot, a female robot that I was talking to. I feel like that would be the more creepy, and I'd be opening myself up to more jokes being thrown at my way. So anyway, she's holding a knife. So it looks like Danny Newton's going to have stuff to do. Dolores is, I don't know, out off the train. Looks like she gets off the train. Could be a sex scene for Dolores next week. Some explosions, some gun. And Anthony Hopkins saying things are under his control. So, like, which, of course they are. So, yeah, looks like some explosions, some sex scenes, the kinds of things you're going to whack in a trailer, I guess, is...
Yeah, nothing that's really going to give you any hints too much.
No. Dolores gets off the train. Some people are talking about Dr. Ford being in control of things, and Danny Newton is thinking through what she wants to do. Yeah. There we go. What an episode. Episode 6, The Adversary of Westworld. We'll be back next week, episode 7. For, is it Under My Control, or I've noticed this season HBO have just been like sometimes giving the trailers different names than the episodes. So like, sort of like they're like making short films of the episodes and coming up with clever names for them.
Well, that is the one thing I worry is like how many seasons of this can they do? But
yeah, we'll I reckon this would be a good 4-season series. To be honest, I know I'm not writing it or don't know where they're going with it at all, but that's just my gut. Do 4. Lost went on too long. Don't make that mistake. Okay, and we're done.